We have taken one picture from 1948 of one cemetery that is very historic, and we have turned that black and white picture into color and discovered 8 different elements about that picture. We are going to find out those elements next on Ozarks History. Are you ready? Let's go. And hello everyone, this is Vincent Anderson. So happy to have you along on this wonderful ride as we journey through Ozarks history. You are so welcome here, and I want to thank everyone who is hitting and smashing that subscribe and like button down below the video. It's certainly helping our algorithm here on Ozarks History on YouTube as we grow our channel. We are at like 491 the last time I looked, and it's growing every day. Love to hit the 500 mark, and then we're after 1,000 and on to there. And so it truly helps our algorithm if you hit subscribe. Those who are watching that do not speak English, that's not your first language. If you hit your closed caption on your video, we are now working on to transcribe all of our videos in closed caption to your native language. Right now we are averaging close to, I believe it's 70 languages that are being transcribed for all of Ozarks history videos. For this one here and all those in the past, for the past couple years, we are getting those transcribed. It takes a little while to get through all that, and thank you Lord for Google Translate and the tools on YouTube. So we're going to get those into your native language that you can actually read down below, because sometimes my vernacular, my speech from the Ozarks may be a little hard on your ears, and we don't want that to happen. And so now we're going to go ahead and dive into Ozarks history. We're going to find our historic picture right here. This is our picture. This is from the Yocham Bend Cemetery, and as you can see, this is actually a Army Corps of Engineer photograph. In 1948, it was March of 1948. This is the black and white, and as you can see, it has some smudge in there. And what you see there, that is actually water damage. And we're going to go ahead and take that black and white, and we are going to transfer it into color. As we transfer it to color, you can see the water damage pretty good here. But the wonderful thing is, on technology and computers and artificial intelligence, we can go in and clean a lot of that up. Didn't spend hours on cleaning this up, but we did do a little bit of work here, and it helps out quite a bit. And so this is our photograph that we are going to start working on, and we're going to start looking around here. The very first element I really want to start talking about are the trees and the prairie grass. The trees and the prairie grass here. When we start bringing these photographs from black and white to color, we can start seeing the native grasses of the Ozarks and the native trees. And we can see right here on the right hand side, in the background a little bit, that large tree, we have a large oak tree, and the other 2 trees in the background, kind of twin trees, those are walnut trees down here on the White River Valley. Quite a few walnut trees. Actually, as I was going through some of these photographs, I was amazed at the walnut trees. Now, we still have walnut trees around here, and as a kid I remember picking up walnuts, a 5-gallon bucket of walnuts, put it in a gunny sack, take it to the feed store. The feed store would shell them out, and you get some money out of picking up walnuts. So there's a lot of walnut trees, and I'm thinking, well, when they dammed up the White River for the Bull Shoals Lake, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, all those walnut trees. There's a lot of walnut trees that went under the water. Hopefully, when that took place in 48 and 49 into 50, as they were getting ready to dam up the river, that farmers got in there, and lumbermen, they got to harvest out some of those beautiful walnut trees. Makes beautiful lumber. I love walnut lumber. Now, to do the study on prairie grasses, The one book, there's a couple books that I actually use as a resource. I actually, in the field, I have a smaller book, and this is the book right here. It's called, well, it's the Prairie Plants of the Midwest. It's identification and the ecology of it. And if you go through here, they have quite a few plants that are here. It's in the Midwest, but it's part of the prairies. And so the Ozarks would be termed also as rolling prairie, savanna. So we can actually use a lot of books on the prairie grasses here. We don't have everything that like maybe Nebraska would have in the volume and everything else, but we do have quite a few prairie plants and prairies that were native here to the Ozarks. Just a side note, I'm an outdoorsman. I grew up loving to go hunt, fish, and trap. And one of the books, as a young man when I was in school, I saw the book when I was in junior high. Just grabbed my attention and fascinated me so much. I checked it out from 8th grade all the way to my senior year. This book was so good, and it's still good. There's newer editions out, but I'm going to show you the book. New edition out. Nothing wrong with the new edition. I like the new edition. We have new editions in libraries across Missouri and Arkansas. But this is the book right here. This is Wild Mammals of Missouri by Charles and Elizabeth Schwartz. They were with the Missouri Department of Conservation. This book and the plates and the panels, the information on the mammals of Missouri, wonderful resource and book. Like I said, there are new editions out. I like this classic book so much. I went on Amazon and I found the classic hardcover. You can get them in soft cover, a little less expensive, but I found the classic book that was in the Gainesville High School library. So I checked. I didn't read many books. Just be honest with you, I did not read many books in school, in high school. But I will say there was one book that I read. It was this book. The other books that I read were Fur, Fish, and Game. Sometimes Outdoor Life, Field and Stream, but it was this book right here. I even went to college for a semester before I went in the Air Force. And the first thing I did when I got to college, I went to the college library to make sure they had that book over there at Point Lookout. It was called School of the Ozarks then. You cannot say School of the Ozarks today. You have to say College of the Ozarks. But when I went to college there, and it was a college, it was called School of the Ozarks at Point Lookout, Missouri, right near Branson. So we have that book. It's a wonderful resource if you want to know about the mammals of the Ozarks, even though it says Missouri. It's Missouri and Arkansas. It covers same mammals that are in Missouri as in Arkansas. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and dive into is this picture here. We have a comb. This is called a comb burial monument here. And so sometimes people will call these pup tents. It's shaped like a pup tent if you want to go camping, but it's technically called a comb. So why would we call that a comb? I have no idea unless it sticks up like a rooster's comb. And so that's why in my mind I see that, and some people will say it's a pup tent grave. They're actually comb graves, C-O-M-B. And so there we go. So there's our other element. So our first element was the prairie plants and the trees. Now we are doing the comb graves. These comb graves, there's not that many in the Ozarks today, but you can actually go to Tennessee. I actually went to Jackson County, Tennessee, where my family originated from. And this is from one of the family cemeteries, I believe. Oh boy, I'm going to say the name here. Here it goes. The Lynn Cemetery. I'm pretty sure it's called the Lynn Cemetery. I could be so wrong here. But I remember going there and we have those comb graves. Now these right here, these are very old. They're kind of falling apart, kind of buckling in. as we went through some of the other graves, pictures and cemetery pictures from the White River, we found others that were kind of similar to that were breaking apart and they were falling apart. So anyway, the next thing we actually want to do, here we go, is the lozenge. Lozenge. Yeah, every time I hear lozenge, I think it's something to pop into your mouth and suck on. But these are lozenges. So this is a lozenge shape, kind of like a little bit of a spearhead triangle shape. And so that would be the lozenge. So the next thing we're going to take a look at with this lozenge is a stepstone crypt. Some crypts you're going to see in the background. The other crypts are going to be table crypts. This one are stones. This one contains stones that are stacked on top of each other. They're more like steps as you come up. So this would be called a stepstone crypt. Now we're going to go back and take a look at everything else here in our crypts. We have 10 other crypts in this one photograph. And we have gone ahead and numbered them all right here. So we have 10 crypts. The next thing we're going to take a look at would be the children. You're starting to see small little tombstones and markers there. It's amazing to walk through an old cemetery and see how many children are buried in that cemetery. And this is just so common. Back in the 1800s and early 1900s, when these cemeteries were being populated and being used heavily, we did not have the medical facilities or medicine that we have today. We didn't even have even having the access to it here in the Ozarks. We were pretty well alone and remote. And speaking of alone, the next one we have is this one that I have outlined in red. This is our lone one, and that has been falling apart, but we did find a tombstone that was actually laying to its side right here. And so there's another one another element that we have found. Now, as we're walking through everything here, sometimes I like to throw in extras. There's this one, as I was working through this Yocham Bend Cemetery, there was this other photograph. I thought, I'm not going to get to the Yocham Bend anymore because I've got other things to move to. So I'm going to throw in an extra. And so this is going to be our extra here. And just hold on. The shape of these two things are just wonderful. If you look in the foreground, you're going to see a lozenge that's attached like a neck discoid. So therefore, we have the lozenge tombstone. In the back of it, we have a neck discoid. So we have these two here over on the side in the Yocham Bend Cemetery. Now, the last thing I want to mention before we leave, I want to show you one other thing that we have on our website here on YouTube, and it's the Turnbow stories. And so it's called our Ozark Stories. Right now we're focusing on Silas Turnbow, Silas Claiborne Turnbow. So there's stories that he has written. In there, we have already recorded 50 of them. I have another 50 that I need to load on to our website, but I want to show you these right here. Now, the very one on the bottom is called the Alf Cook Cave. It's a tragic story that actually took place during the Civil War that Mr. Turnbow chronicled. Then, if you hear that story, you need to go, this is I believe this is story number 2. Now you need to go to story number 3. And so the story number 3 is a cold swim across the White River. These two stories go together. The last story sums up the aftermath of what it's like during that raid and what happened after the Union Army came in and killed some guys in a cave. So that you need to hear both stories. I have been working on these over the years, recording them, and now I'm just now uploading them on the internet. I actually recorded them just for the sheer pleasure of hearing his stories spoken, and I've had I have my own audio that I've made. I have over 7.5 hours of audio of Silas Turnbow stories that he has written that I just have on a CD, and I also have it on flash drive, and I just put them in and I listen to them and just kind of rehearse what actually happened. So when I go to a certain area that Silas Turnbow wrote about, I will listen to those stories, and then I'm ready to go off. I kind of get in the flow of everything of what's going on. The last thing I do want to say was about Cabela's and Bass Pro Shops. Right now we are featuring our Trappers Trowel 22-inch cold rolled steel. The link is down below in the description. $12.99. So you do not have to be a trapper. If you're a trapper, that you already know you've got one of these. It's a great tool. But if you like to go gardening, if you like to go out digging somewhere, if you need to do cemetery restoration, you need a handy little trowel, cold rolled steel. This thing is not going to bend or buckle when you put your weight on it. You can actually put your foot right here on it if you're getting into something hard. If you're in the Ozarks, you need a trapper's trowel to dig into your garden or in the front yard or whatever. If you need to dig something out, this is the tool. $12.99. Go to Cabela's. Keep adding it up at Cabela's. You're going to get your shipping cut off and free. And so it's a great little deal. $12.99. It'll be a tool that you'll keep for years. I got my first one when I was 8 or 9 years old, and never forgot about my first one and going out and trapping with that. Thank you so much for joining us today on Ozarks History. We've had a great time. Looking forward to seeing you next time, and we are going to delve into some more of some historic Ozarks here on Ozarks History. See you soon. Bye-bye.